All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praises and all glory to
Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushai Ba'Hashem Chakodash.
Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and taught us this truth. They are the true teachers for the nation of Israel on earth today. And salutation to the Akim out there pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth and risking their life
for Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushui's sake.
We're the brothers from GMS Miami. I'm Brother Samak.
I'm your brother Zakaria.
Yeah, and today we're going to talk about how, we measure the times that we're in by seeing the major prophecy that we always talk about, which is the mark of the beast, right? Which is the RFID chip. And RFID stands for radio frequency identification device, okay? So that's how we measure, all right, the times that we're in, all right, by that major prophecy. Because that major prophecy has to happen so that we are to be delivered, okay? And that's what we're fighting for that seat, on the chariot. Right. All right, what inspired us to do this lesson, because yesterday our beloved brother Ash from our camp, said that, yeah, we're measuring, how long we're here by that chip, that mark of the beast.
That's right.
Okay, when it becomes, the talk of the town, to when laws are being passed, all right, so that there's regulatory on it, and then of course ultimately to the it being mandatory.
Right.
Okay, and so that's what inspired us to do a lesson. So yeah, and that's how we're measuring, how long we have here by seeing that major prophecy come to fruition.
That's right.
So we're going to start with 2nd Esdras chapter 9, and Lord willing, this lesson is edifying.
This book of 2nd Esdras chapter 9 and verse 1, it says, "He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself."
Right. So this is Ezra, okay, speaking, all right, to the angel, all right, the angel of the Lord. Right. And the angel of the Lord is, it's telling, Ezra to measure the time.
That's right.
Okay. So if you call yourself a prophet, if you call yourself, a believer in Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai, you're supposed to be measuring the time that you're in. Okay. All right. So you can gauge how long we have here. All right. And again, that major prophecy, the RFID chip, okay, which is the mark of the beast, that's a major, okay, timeline to gauge. All right. That's a major, okay, prophecy to gauge according to the Lord's timeline. That's what I wanted to say. Okay. For our salvation. So we're looking, you're supposed to be looking forward to this chip, all right, being pushed and being ultimately made mandatory. Because that needs to happen so we get up out of here.
That's right.
All right. So read that one more time.
Yep. This book of 2nd Esdras chapter 9 and verse 1, it says, "He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself."
Right. And what do we have that can give us like a gauge? All right. What's it called? Current events. All right. And reports on this device, in terms of, who's pushing it out to the forefront, like Elon Musk with his Neuralink, right? What medical institutions are now, conducting, what do they call it? Trial runs, right? That's how you're measuring it. Like, okay. So, all right, this chip is now being, all right, tested. It's being talked about by, what they call high profile figures like Elon Musk. All right. So, hey, this is a gauge. This is a parameter, all right, to let us know how close we are to getting up out of here.
Yep.
Because this major prophecy is about to be fulfilled. All right. That's our timeline. Right.
I'll read it. 2nd Esdras chapter 9 verse 1, it says, "He answered me then and said, measure thou the time digitally so like in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before." Verse 2, "Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made."
You see that? When the highest, okay? So, okay, when our Lord begins to visit the world, all right, which he made, all right? And that is another sign because, all right, you're seeing now chariot sightings.
That's right.
Okay, you're seeing literally the beginning stages of World War III.
Yep.
So that's the Lord, okay, all right, showing, all right, his power, man.
Yep.
Showing that, all right, he's beginning to visit, all right, the earth. Okay, you're seeing all these different weather events. All right, that's a major sign that the Lord is beginning to visit the earth. All right, because if you want to get how the Lord visits the earth through his weather warfare, you got it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
This book Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 6. It says, "Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire." So that's how the Lord is visiting the earth, man. And he's showing us the signs that's happening before he makes his second return. And that the RFID chip in the NFC chip, that's what they call it in Europe. That's a major sign, man. That like the elder apostle says, we're not getting up out of this place until that chip be made mandatory, man. Yep. You can see Esau, they're slowly, gradually putting it in there with Sweden. You know, some people in USA, they had that Wisconsin company, Three Square,
whatever. Yeah.
That was all over the news, you know, and it's here, but they just got to put laws and make it an event to make it mandatory, man.
Exactly. You know, they got to, what they call regulated,
right?
You know, just like with this whole crypto thing, which that's part of this whole, beast system. That's actually the cause of all part. All right. How do you get the masses out of, physical cash? Well, push this digital currency. All right. And regulate it. All right. To see, look, it's law now. All right. So this is perfectly legal to use. Same thing with this RFID chip. Okay. Which is the mark of the beast. They got to regulate. They're going to pass laws on it. Right. In fact, the United Nations, they passed a law on a global scale when it comes to they called it, you know what, let me not jack it up. United Nations Neuro, I think it's called neurotechnology. The United Nations is actively developing frameworks to govern neurotechnology, focusing on ethical, human rights, and privacy implications as these technologies advance beyond medical use. See, all right, so they're working on it, but I know they passed something back in November of 2025. Let's see. It says, what did they pass? What did they pass in November 2025? Okay, so in November 2025, all right, the United Nations officially adopted the recommendation on the ethics of neurotechnology, the world's first global standard setting instrument in this field. All right. So there it is. That's that regulatory. Okay. So, so now they're going to probably have another meeting. All right. And then ultimately, give it the green light for all nations then to adopt, all right, a regulatory framework based on the United Nations. So there you go. Okay. So that's a sign right there, man. That how close we are, all right, to for this chip to be made mandatory. So yeah, that's it right there. Recommendation on the ethics of neurotechnology, and that was passed in November of 2025. It was officially adopted by the United Nations
a couple
of months ago. Okay, so and the United Nations, they meet every year to discuss these different policies, and this is a major sign right here.
Right.
So this is it. Okay. This is what they passed. That was it. Okay.
I had a precept for the barbershop. This book of Psalms, chapter 94 and verse 20, it says, "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law?" So they're framing this mischief by putting in, they making laws to frame mischief, man. To make it on the books. That's how Esau works. In order for him to justify or use his authority over something, he'll make it a law. He'll make it a mandatory, and that's what he's doing right now, man. Says, "Oh, it's okay. You know, everything's all good. We did the test. Now it's in law, so it has to be made mandatory." Just like the different decrees that Nebuchadnezzar had. You gotta bow down, or you're gonna get put to death.
That's right. You
know.
Okay. So yeah. So that's a great example right here, and this is how we're measuring the time, man. All right, seeing that, okay, hey, we're close to getting up out of here. All right. You got something else?
No, that was it.
Let me bring out So I typed in AI mode. I just typed in brain implant 2030, and the AI overview said it beautifully. It said by 2030, okay? And so this is an agenda by the elites. By 2030, brain-computer interfaces are projected to evolve from strictly medical restorative tools into consumer devices capable of enhancing human intelligence and merging or surpassing smartphone capabilities. So this is in their agenda. Right. Okay, by 2030. Now, Lord willing, all right, they speed it up, and as you can see, all right, things are heating up. Look at the so-called Middle East. They're back at war. Yep. Just within 30 minutes ago, or an hour ago, Iran attacked American naval ships. America attacked Iran's missile launchers. Their military location. So they're back at war again.
That's right.
You know, so that goes to show you, like, okay, hey, things are brewing up.
Yep. So
that means that this device is coming quickly.
That's right.
All right. And this is what the elites want. They want by 2030. So either way, this is coming. Okay. It says companies like Neuralink are targeting widespread adoption by 2030 for applications such as treating blindness, reducing, and web surfing through thought, with the market expected to exceed 11 billion by that time. Okay. And you already know investors are going to invest in this because they want to make a profit.
Yep.
Okay. So it says consumer use cases. Beyond restoring function, future implants aim to enhance human memory, allow direct interaction with AI, and potentially facilitate web surfing with your brain, making handheld smartphones obsolete. And that's the goal. And then the Nokia CEO, what's his name, Pekka Lundmark, said at the World Economic Forum, that's the video that's circling around, amongst us brothers at GMS, because, that video is circling around. All right, that's the Nokia CEO, okay, Pekka Lundmark, and he predicted by 2030 the smartphone will no longer be the most common interface, with many technologies built directly into bodies or clothes.
Right.
Okay, so that's the video circling around amongst the brothers' lessons. All right, that was the 2020 World Economic Forum. Okay, so we're here. That's how we're gauging how close we are for this chip to be made mandatory, and of course how close we are to being delivered.
That's right.
Okay, because once the chip is made mandatory, all right, hey, that's when the Lord's going to show up and deliver his elect. Because what comes when the chip is made mandatory? All right, salvation and destruction.
That's right.
And the Lord's going to deliver the elect from the destruction.
That's right. It's going to get so bad out here. And scriptures talk about the hour of temptation, man. That's going to be a time of testing for all of us. And the Lord said He tell us don't take it, so He's got to deliver. He's going to deliver us from it. He let us know what it is, man. So you other groups talking about something, sin is all it is form. Why would the Lord tell you don't take something and not tell you what it is, man?
Exactly.
We're not going to be able to buy ourselves. We're going to be exiled of society. So the Lord has to come back and deliver us. And those missiles going to be shot off.
Yep. That's why the Lord shortened the time, or else no flesh shall be saved.
Right.
Okay.
I got a precept for you. This book of Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 2, it says, "And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision," meaning the prophecies, "and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it," man. So the prophecies, the visions made plain upon tables. The Lord had our forefather, John the Revelator on Island of Patmos. He saw these things, man. And he wrote them down for us in these times that we know what time we in right now, man.
That's right.
It says, I'll read it again. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 2 says, "And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it." Verse 3, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak." And you seeing it speaking right now, man.
Yep.
"And not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it would surely come, it would not tarry." So these prophecies are not tarry. All right, the Lord said He's gonna come as a thief in the night, and that show Redacted. They brought up the whole Sweden thing again.
Yep.
So you got the people of the world talking about it, man.
Yep.
Common regular people. So what about you Israelite groups, man?
Yep. And that goes to show you that you're not prophets, because you're not prophesying, about what's happening, on the world stage, man.
Right.
Okay, this is a major thing that's about to happen, man. All right, this chip, when it becomes mandatory, man, okay, everyone's going to be affected.
Right.
All right. And there's going to be mass chaos, man. It's definitely civil unrest. Okay. All right. So that's why you're supposed to be warning, all right, the Lord's people. But a lot of you pseudo-Hebrew Israelites, you sold out. Okay. Either you sold out or, okay, the Lord didn't give you, all right, the understanding of this breakdown, which is pretty simple. All right. It's literally a physical thing. Okay. That's going into the body. That's what John the Revelator saw.
Right.
Okay. All right. And in order for you to conduct commerce, buy and sell, you need it in your body.
Right. That's the whole point.
That's the whole point.
Verse 17.
Yeah. All right. That's why, again, the cause of all part, that's important too, because it shows you like, damn, they're really setting it up that, okay, a physical cash ain't going to be accepted.
Right.
All right. So it'll be easy for them to say, no, you need to have this chip in your body in order for you, all right, to buy and sell with this digital currency.
Right.
It's going to be way easier, you know?
Yep. If I may say, like Biden, he told the Chief Justice, whatever his name was, Roberts,
yeah.
He said you're going to have to rule if it's going to be legal or something like that to put an implant into the body, man.
Because, again, like what you brought out, he framed his mission by law. It has to be put in law. So the Supreme Court, right, which is the high court of the land, has to rule on it. And you know they're going to rule in favor of it. All right, because they with it, and because at the end of the day, this is the will of the Lord. This prophecy has to come to pass. All right, so that it shows that the Lord, okay, all right, is not a liar.
That's right.
All right, and all mouths will be stopped.
Yep.
The Lord is a man that cannot lie. He's bound by his prophecy.
Yep.
Okay, you know, I know you want to get that in numbers. The
that
Lord is a man that cannot lie.
Yep.
Yeah, because this prophecy is proof that, hey, all right, who is the true power, okay? Who is, okay, the all-knowing, omnipotent, okay? Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. You got it.
Numbers 23. 23 and 24.
Yeah, take your time. There's no rush, man.
23.
I know it's in Numbers.
24? Let me see.
Yeah.
I got it. Nice.
I could type it out, and then they'll give me the Lord is.
I got it. I got it. 23.
23?
23
Okay.
and 19.
All right.
This book of Numbers, chapter 23 and verse 19, it says, Yahweh is not a man that he should lie, neither the son of man that he should repent. Have he said, and shall not he do it? Or have he spoken, and shall not he make it good?
Right. So the Lord, first of all right, the Lord's not going to repent, meaning he's not going to change his mind. All right. He set this in stone.
That's right.
All right. And this is his will. Okay. Again. All right. Because, hey, he's going to be known as, all right, the true, okay, power.
That's right.
Because this was all prophesied 1,000 years ago.
Yep.
And now it's being made manifest. So who's telling the truth?
Right.
All right. And this is going to make his men get praise and fame.
Yep.
Because this is something that we've been saying over and over and over again, man. While you had these, wacky tacky, okay, plantation Christians, some of them don't even know that that's talking about the RFID chip.
Yeah.
All right. And you got these pseudo Hebrew Israelites. A lot of them don't even know that's talking about the RFID chip. Yep. But ultimately, again, the Lord's going to be given a praise because,
right.
All right, his words were true, faithful and true. You know? I was going to, you got something?
Yeah, I'm looking for something, but just what you just said
Yeah.
is in the book of Isaiah. Like, the Lord spoke to you, so you can't give glory to your idols.
Yep. Yeah, because that's it, man. So no one could say, oh, no, my book, my power said this was going to happen. No. That's why you even got some of these Muslims going into the Bible. Oh yeah, the Bible talks about the mark of the beast. This is the Bible of the Hebrew Israelites. You Muslim, why are you going into our book?
Right.
You know, this Bible was written by Israelites for Israelites. Okay, you wacky tacky plantation Christians, this ain't your book. This is our book, the Hebrew Israelites. Okay.
Yep. I'll find it, but you can get something if you have it.
Oh yeah. So I want to bring out. Second Esdras 15, because hey, we have to preach the prophecies to our people, man, and let our people know that, hey, man, we're in the time. We're gauging the time actually for you by bringing this out, you know.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
You got it? You know, bring that out
Okay.
there if you want it, yeah.
This is book of Isaiah chapter 48 in verse 3. It says, I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth. I showed them, I did them suddenly, and they came to pass. So the Lord, he said, he said it, and it come to pass, just how this prophecy has come to pass. Verse 4, it says, because I knew that thou art obstinate, and thy neck is an iron sinew, and thy brow brass, meaning you hard-headed. Verse 5, it says, I have even from the beginning declared it to thee before it came to pass. I showed it thee, lest thou shouldst say, my idol have done them, and my graven image and my molten image have commanded them. Yeah, so the Lord, verse 6 says, thou hast heard, see all this, and thou wilt not declare it. I have showed thee new things from this time, even hidden things, and thou didst not know them. Now, they are created now, and not from the beginning, even before the day when thou heardest them, not, lest thou shouldst say, behold, I knew them. So the Lord, he tells the prophets to go out and say it, and then it eventually come to pass, so he can get all the glory.
That's right. That's the Lord's program.
Right.
All right. And you got a lot of these pseudo Hebrew Israelites, they're trying to get their glory.
Yeah.
All right. And then they're jacking up the scriptures.
Yep.
Okay. Like Bishop Nathaniel.
You're right.
Okay. You know, with the whole sin in all its form, and then using the cup, you know, that's talking about the right hand is the cup, and then mystery Babylon in the forehead. That's the mark in the forehead. No, this is a physical thing, man.
You just that's butchering the scripture.
Yeah,
man.
And then when you watch it, you know, you're just laughing and like, damn, you know, how can people be this so gullible? But hey, man, you know, if the Lord ain't dealing with you, you're gonna be gullible. Right. You know.
Then he said they might put a chip in there.
Yeah, that was because now it's so evident, like that, you know, from Elon Musk to the average news media talking about, you know, RFID chips. You know, and talking about how it's helping out people that are paraplegic, and those are those miracles, you know. But however, again, back to the point of this lesson, it's a timeline. We're gauging it. We're like, hey, man, we're close to this prophecy being fulfilled, okay, and that's a major prophecy that we want, all right, to be fulfilled, so we get up out of here.
That's right,
because that's the goal, man, is to get up out of here. All right, be tested, Lord, when we pass the test. As it, you know, it says in Revelation, okay, because it's Lord willing, because it's going to be the Lord that's going to put the Spirit in us to not take that device, right? Right. He said, I will keep you, you know. But I want to bring this out, 2 Esdras 15:1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. Right, so we have to bring out these prophecies over and over again. Because, again, what does prophecy mean to say before? Right. The chip hasn't been made mandatory, so we have to still speak about it. That's why the Lord has us up still putting videos on the internet. Yep. Okay? 2, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Right. And that's what I want to emphasize. These prophecies are faithful and true. Okay? And that's why the Lord put the Spirit, okay, on, certain men to put this book together, which they were Israelites, by the way, right, so that we could get it in these times, because they are faithful and true. Okay? The Lord preserved his word so that we can get it. Yeah. Okay? All right? And, 3, fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. Right. We don't care if you, scoff at us, get upset with us, hate that we keep talking about the chip all the time, And that's another thing. A lot of these Jakes, they watch this video for entertainment. Right. When we talk about the chip, they're like, I like when they curse out the cams. I like when they curse out these women. The black woman, yeah. Okay. I like when they talk about, stuff that to them is entertainment. And like celebrity gossip and stuff. Yeah. Drewski. Yeah, Drewski. You notice, like, whenever you know, we get on these celebrities or we get on these women, that's when the views go up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Man, y'all gonna die, man.
Yeah.
The Lord gonna destroy y'all. Because y'all in it for entertainment, man.
Right.
You're not sincere about this. Verse 4, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. Right, and that shows that you have no lack of faith. All right, you have no faith, actually. Okay, unfaithful.
That's right.
All right, the fact that you can't, all right, see that what we're bringing out is the truth. All right, that means the Lord, all right, didn't impart you with that faith, because faith is a gift. Because ultimately, this is of the Lord. The Lord already knows who's his elect and not, to be honest with you.
Yep.
All right, so we're just playing out our role. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And that's why the Lord puts a heavy spirit on us to keep talking about the RFID chip. Keep talking about these prophecies. All right? Talk about, all right, how everything's leading up to the chip being made mandatory and you're going to be tested.
That's right.
All right? And this is a major prophecy that needs to happen so we get up out of here.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. I got a precept.
Yeah.
As we close out on this.
Yeah.
This book of Second Ezra chapter 4 in verse 37 says, by measure have he measured the times, and by number have he numbered the times. He doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. So the Lord has the Lord works in prophecies, man. His word has to. Events have to happen. One event had to happen before another event happened, man. Mm-hmm. They're not going to collide together, man. The Lord said that the chip, the missiles, then deliverance, man.
Yep, that's how it is.
It's not going to be deliverance, then the chip, and then, you know what I'm saying?
No.
We had to wake up to know who we are. We had to return, repent, all right, get tested. Then the missil's going to come and the Lord going to deliver us from that. Mm-hmm. That's how the Lord has, everything is measured in his timeline, man.
Yep.
And he doesn't stir. One prophecy is not going to come before another prophecy. That's it. Basically what the scripture is saying.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. Everything is according to the Lord's timeline. All right. So that, again, all right, prophecies fulfilled and the Lord is getting his glory. All right. We woke up to who we are. Okay. Now we're seeing, okay, the hour of temptation. All right. Being set up. Okay, that's why you're seeing with this whole crypto blockchain and all these major companies are now using it. They're passing laws on it. All right, for what? For the hour of temptation. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then the Lord's elect are going to pass the hour of temptation. The rest of the Jake, you 2/3 here in America, you ain't going to pass. All right, either okay, you take it or all right, you fight it against the government and die. Right. Okay, you know that's the only option, you know, that's going to happen for you 2/3. Because, you know, certain Jake are going to be like, nah, I'm gonna go out blazing, you know, and they're going to end up getting killed. All right. And then after that, the hour of temptation, all right, the elect is sealed because those they didn't take the chip. Mm-hmm. All right. Then what? The nukes and salvation. Right. Okay. Because World War III, you see, while this is all being pushed and, you know, all right, according to the Lord's timeline, World War III is just creeping and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, man. Right. Okay? So ultimately what? All right, the nukes come. But the nukes are not going to fly until that chip is made mandatory. And after the chip is made mandatory, that's when, all right, the nukes are coming. And that's why the Lord said, watch and then look up because you want to get delivered from the nukes pounding, all right, America, Babylon the Great. And we're only saying here because we're here. All right, this is target. This is ground zero. Right. This is where the Lord wants to destroy America. I just hope y'all, you know, right. For those that are watching, do you know the Lord wants to destroy America? Mm-hmm. The Epstein regime, you know, all that. No, he's not cool with that. Right. You know, he's not cool with these Americans in full debauchery and wickedness and just doing whatever the hell they want. So he has a special judgment for this place. That's right. But the judgment's not coming until the chip is made mandatory. Then the nukes fly. Right. Let me a lot of niggas die. Yeah. They don't run. Get fried. Get fried.
We can end off with this. This because what we're saying, Revelation 14 is that's basically what we're saying.
That's a great way to end it. Yeah, because
14.
That's it. That's the timeline. Yeah. That beautiful. Con. Damn.
That's all
good thing the Lord put the spirit on you. Remember that. Yeah.
This is the book of Revelation chapter 14 and verse 8. It says, and there followed another angel saying, Babylon, which is America, is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. So this place is also it's falling spiritually, but it's going to physically fall by those missiles being shot upon this place and laser fire from the chariots. And all these nations, they took upon the philosophy of America, man, the ways of this place. Verse 9 says, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast, what is the beast? NATO, the EU. It says, in his image, what is the image? All right, the revised Roman Empire. This is Rome all over again, man. Right. The ways of Rome.
Yep.
And receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand. So wherever you get that mark, all right, that's the Caragua. That's going into the RFID chip, man.
Yep.
Verse 10, it says, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is, so if you worship the beast, his image, you take his mark, this is what's going to happen. Verse 10, that's how we know that chip has to be made mandatory, because those who take it, verse 10, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever. And they had no rest day nor night who worship the beast in his image, and whosoever received the mark of his name.
There you go.
That's it. That's the timeline.
That's the timeline, man. All right, and it goes to show you that, all right, the Lord's going to be given his glory, all right, because it's all going to play out, all right. So yeah, you can't finesse the Lord's timeline, all right. And that's the thing. Jake thinking that that's not going to happen in their lifetime.
Right.
Oh, it's coming, All right, so with that, we want to give all praises and all glory to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushai Ba'Hashem Chakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who grew well and taught us this truth. They are the true teachers for the nation of Israel on earth today.
Right.
And salutation to the Akim out there pushing this truth and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth and risking their life for Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahushai's sake. Love you, brothers. Keep it door, keep it faith, keep pushing, keep fighting, keep studying, pray without ceasing, pray for each other, pray for the apostle elders. We're almost out of here. As they get up in age, pray for their health and longevity.
Right.
For the few sisters that are watching, keep studying. When you pray, to have covered. Shalom.
Shalom.